All right, let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo because we talked about Lionel Messi, so we're going to have to do that. So we've got Portugal against Uruguay coming up tomorrow. Thoughts on Cristiano Ronaldo then, Tom? Because there's been so much talk about him after the first game. There's been people saying, oh, he did great. Other people saying, oh, he didn't do so great. What are your thoughts on what we've seen from Cristiano so far?
Well, it's been peak Cristiano, hasn't it, really? I mean, it's the whole narrative is revolved around him, whether he wanted it to or not. I think, you know what, he was okay in the opening game, but is he, you know, in the right sort of form where they can guarantee him to produce the moments, you know, in the big games? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think if you look elsewhere in that team, you've got the likes of, you know, Felix, these sort of players as well. They need to have their chance to shine in this team as well. I think there are some sort of murmurings within the sort of the Portugal press group that they may start Ronaldo on the bench tomorrow and bring him on as an impact sub. I can't see that. I mean, it's Cristiano, he's going to end up starting. But when you have a player like Rafael Leao on the bench, surely he has to get the chance to play from the outset. And he can only do that when he's sort of out of Ronaldo's shadow. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they manage the next two group games. They've had the win. It was nervy against Ghana. You know, that they could have drawn it late on, especially if Iñaki Williams had managed to get the ball back. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see how they manage this over the next few days. I think Cristiano needs a good game. We don't want him to end up doing another interview, do we, if he's dropped? But we'll see. Wait and see what happens. I just think that they've got some brilliant players, and I think we're forgetting that perhaps because of the whole Cristiano circus. You look at, you know, they've got Bruno Fernandes, they've got Leao, they've got Felix, etc., etc. But it's a big game for them tomorrow. Like Uruguay didn't look overly impressive in their opener, only one shot on target against South Korea, so it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and they beat them, didn't they? Uruguay beat Portugal in 2018. Fernando Santos has been talking about the importance of Cristiano Ronaldo, so I would hazard a guess he's going to be in the starting 11 again for him. What are your guesses, Shaka, on to which side will go further from what we've seen with Messi and his Argentina team and Ronaldo and his Portugal team?
That's a really good question, in all honesty. I'm with Tom in that I actually thought that Portugal looked better without Ronaldo. And I know he opened the scoring, and I know the role he played in winning that penalty, which we've spoken about. But as we've also spoken about, I thought before that he had two gilt-edged opportunities to open the scoring. And if you see that in Fernando Santos, do you ask yourself, is it better to have a Rafael Leao on the end of those crosses, on the end of those passes? And that's a decision that I'm not sure he's prepared to answer, not during this tournament, not given everything that's happened with Cristiano Ronaldo over recent weeks. You probably try to continue to appease him as best you can, at least in keeping a settled dressing room for the time being. But as I mentioned, as much as I may not be that convinced by Portugal, equally I'm not that convinced by Argentina. Messi is probably, his powers have remained far stronger than Messi's. Messi's powers have remained stronger than Ronaldo's. So if that were my yardstick, I would have to say Argentina. But really, it's about how both those players' supporting casts can get the best out of them. How well Portugal can continue to service Cristiano Ronaldo, do his running, do the covering for him, and hope that he steps up and winning a penalty or scoring a free kick or whatever it may be, and how best Argentina's own supporting cast can try to remember that they are actually good players and are fully allowed to do and take some responsibility on their own shoulders. If Argentina players do that, I think they go further than Portugal.
Yeah, I've said too much about Argentina, so I'll just put the focus on Portugal here. And I guess I'm just going to stick with what I've said for a while, which is I believe Portugal's biggest enemy, most often than not, is actually Fernando Santos himself. I feel like sometimes there's a little bit too much of a tunnel vision with him. But, Portugal's opponent, Uruguay, I've been very high on them for a long time. I actually still have them, crazily enough, in the semifinals, just because of everything that I've seen since Diego Alonso took over from Oscar Tavares. And what you saw of Uruguay against South Korea, all due respect to South Korea, very good team, I actually was very disappointed. I expect a much, much better performance from Uruguay in this game against Portugal. I've been very high on their midfield, specifically the man that does it all, Fede Valverde. And I believe that he and others are going to pick themselves up even more against this game. I think that Uruguay are Portugal's worst possible opponent, because Uruguay are going to be in your face and make you play narrow. And Ronaldo, even though Diego Godin is still getting old, I think that this Uruguayan side will be more than enough to beat Portugal. And here come the Ronaldo haters on my Instagram DMing. I know it's going to come, but I'm just...
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.